Hello, Augies Worldwide, and welcome to another episode of Ask Dave. We're going through Ask Dave questions. You can submit a question to hamradioanswers@gmail.com. That's hamradioanswers, all one word, @gmail.com. And these go to Trevor, who collects them, collates them, and we address them in one of our videos here. Ham Radio Answers is proud to announce LCSC Electronics as a sponsor. LCSC Electronics is a worldwide distributor of electronic components and printed circuit boards and can be found on the internet at lcsc.com and easyeda.com. So what have we got?
All right. Marlin, call sign WA3HEM, would like to know about the order of your general videos.
Okay. A way to order. I do not offer the general videos for sale. There's an issue with a section of them that I want to fix. The new general book is coming out next year, and I will do an updated set of videos. Right now I'm in the middle of planning for the updated technician set. When those are ready, I'll have something for sale for that. So, sorry, I don't have anything to order for the general video lessons right now.
All right. Raymond, call sign WF7BSR, would like to know about the edition of general book.
I was hoping to get your opinion on whether a person could pass a general test by using your videos along with the 7th edition of the ARRL book. The 8th edition they are currently selling goes for around $30, and I'm finding used copies of the previous edition for around $5. My understanding is there's not a huge amount of difference. I have not looked specifically at the general to see what the differences are for this. My understanding is that the question set has not changed very much. So you could do what you talk about and then go online and look for practice tests with the 8th edition to pick up the extra. I know when I redid the amateur extra videos last year, I found that they had added more questions about digital radio, software-defined radio in particular. And so they may have done that with this. But the general test using the videos, you'd be best with the current edition, but if you're an edition old, I think you'd probably do fine. And if you don't, you can, well, do some practice tests so you find out what the questions actually are.
Ken, call sign WDH4238, would like to know a radio and license recommendation.
Well, yes, I recommend you get a radio and a license. He travels in the boondocks, Montana, Alaska, Yukon, British Columbia, considering to become he wants to use amateur radio for emergency. Is it practical? Yes and no. There are many, many stories of people using amateur radio for search and rescue. It can be done. In Alaska, there's a special frequency around 5 megahertz that people can use just in Alaska for emergency use, and that tends to be monitored by a lot of people. So that's a good one for that. And some of the newer radios allow you to use that frequency. I know my FTDX 3000 does. Licensed to use marine VHF. Can always find someone to talk to in salt water. Would like to do something with the 2-meter portable radio and a technician license. You mentioned ham radio work to hit repeaters. What are the chances anybody would be listening? The chances are good that somebody's listening. You may have to be persistent. Now, in Canada, they don't do the technician license. I think it's called a foundation license or something like that. And you'd have to check with a Canadian Amateur Radio League to find out more about that. Find out what sort of Canada Telecommunications Authority there is, and they can give you all of the specifics for that.
All right. Frank, call sign W9LVC, would like to know if it's possible to find a list of all your videos.
Well, I was keeping a list online on my website. My website is at dcasler.com. That's DCASLER.com. And there are lists there of the tech, general, and extra videos, and a partial list of the Ask Dave videos. It's not been kept up to date because I have not sensed any particular desire on the part of people to use it. They all want to use YouTube and just find the videos via YouTube. There's something on YouTube called a playlist, and if you go to my channel page, you can click on playlists, and it will give you a list of, like all the Ask Dave videos are in a playlist, and so on. And then you can just follow the playlist all the way through all the videos. The one for the Ask Dave videos is undoubtedly the biggest. I'm not saying these are foolproof, but those playlists are up there. Every time I put a video up, I do add it to a playlist, sometimes more than one playlist. So that's the easiest way to get all of them, the YouTube playlist feature.
All right. Anthony, call sign KG4BO, has a question about ham radio stigma.
Stigma? Oh my. Okay, well, Anthony's a ham. Somebody using ham radio to avoid or for criminal reasons. I have to agree with you. I think it's a crazy rumor. It does not pass the smell test for me as being something that's true. So, Anthony, I think I'd pass on those rumors and and just get on the air and enjoy yourself.
All right. Joan, call sign KB1 and KJ, would like to know about radio distance from antenna.
How far can my 2-meter radio be from the outside wall where my antenna and ground wire come in? The answer is mount your radio where you want it, run the cable, run it over to the outside and up. If you've got a long run, more than 50 feet, say, you might want to run heavier coax like RG213 instead of RG8X. You have relatively high losses. This is important both on transmit and receive. On the receive, it can be harder to hear the weaker stations. And on transmit, you're actually heating the cable rather than getting the signal out. So you want to, if it's fairly long, if it's over 50 feet, you might look at RG213 cable all the way through. The 213 is nice stuff to deal with. It's thicker, has far less loss at VHF. There's also LMR 400. LMR 400 is very stiff and very hard to work with. I was quite enthusiastic about it at one point and bought a bunch of it. Now I wish I'd gotten RG213. So,
Call sign VE7QIN would like to know about the PSK31.
PSK31 is a digital mode. Looking for a transceiver that can do PSK31. Is a single sideband voice transceiver absolutely required for this? Yes. From what I've read about that, this seems to only use polarity reversal on a very narrow band. Yes, it is very narrow. So voice transceiver seems like an overkill. It's not as simple as that. You're thinking about something called FSK, frequency shift keying, which is how RTTY is done. It's either on one frequency or the other frequency. The signal that is transmitted in PSK 31 is actually phase shifted. That's what PSK stands for, phase shift keying. The 31 is the 31.25 hertz bandwidth. The problem is that the signal is phase shifted. It's shifting the phase, and you end up with what looks like two signals at the same time when there's really only one that's constantly changing phase. And the single sideband voice transmitter is what is used, and you have to be very, very careful to make sure that the sideband transmitter is very linear in the region that it is being worked to keep all that phase stuff. Why can't we just add some polarity reversal switch to CW only transceiver, hold the Morse key down, and let a computer like Arduino or Raspberry Pi flip the phase reversal switch at the right moments? The phase reversal is extremely tightly dependent on the frequency of the underlying carrier, because you have to shift the phase of that. So you're going to have to get right down into the oscillator itself and switch the phase on that. You know, I guess if you wanted to build a purpose-built transceiver for PSK 31, you could, but all the fun right now is on FT8, so that's another mode entirely. Again, single sideband is the easiest way to transmit that.
Vernon, call sign W7VPL, wants to know your thoughts on putting salt around the antenna.
The reason that people talk about putting salt around ground rods and stuff is that salt water is a great conductor. The problem here is if you put it there, you'd have to keep it moist for it to do any good, moist all the way down. And then salt is one whale of a corrosive, and you're going to end up replacing your ground wire pretty quickly. That'll eat the copper coating off of the ground rod and expose the steel underneath, and make your ground rod a lot less effective. In channel news, please check out different ways that you can support this channel. This is a viewer-supported channel. You can go to www.patreon.com/KE0OG to find out a way that you can support the channel on an ongoing basis for just $1 or $2 a month. Every little bit is appreciated. Thank you very much for the exceptional support that you've provided to me. I love you, Augies, world around. Until we next meet, 73.